Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Cruz and welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to discuss how I use my camera equipment to achieve this very look that you're watching right now. Before we continue, please do all the things to help this channel grow. Like this video, subscribe and comment below, and be sure to hit the bell icon so you get an alert every single time I upload a video. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, full disclosure here, I'm gonna become very vulnerable with you for a second. Obviously, I've been working really hard on this channel, right? I've been working really hard to maintain an upload schedule, and to be honest with you, it's an extremely ambitious upload schedule. I'm uploading every single Monday and Thursday every week. That's 2 videos a week. Keep in mind, I still have a full-time job. I still cut hair part-time. I still volunteer at my home church. I still do all of the things in my other life that I have been doing this whole time, so none of that has stopped, but I just have decided that this is the year that I want to commit to this YouTube channel. I've said it in previous years, but this time I'm dead serious about it. As I've been recording, editing, and uploading, I've been learning more and more about how to get the best quality and the best video in general, especially now that I have a room that's dedicated to actually recording and busting out content. So I'm always trying to make adjustments that can make things better for myself, whether it's better visually or even just more behind the scenes, easier, more functional for me personally. But there's something that I just can't get over. I've been very frustrated with, and that's just the limitations that I found with some of the equipment that I've been using. In fact, so much so, my most recent upload right before this one, where I discussed the barefoot buttons, I was super frustrated with that video and was this close to not uploading it because I was having such a hard time with the editing, or more so the color grading portion of that video. There were a lot of things that I did wrong in that video in terms of actually recording it, and much like guitar playing or recording in general on the music side of things, you learn that the better you can make your input sound, the easier it'll be in the back end when you're actually mixing, mastering, editing, all of that stuff. So if you don't put the best quality into the recording session, then you're probably going to have a hard time fixing it later on down the road. And that's the issue that I was running into. I found myself not being able to correct a lot of the mistakes that I was making when I pressed record on my camera. In fact, so much so that I just deleted the video that I was supposed to upload next, and I just couldn't do it because it looks so bad. A few examples I'll show you very quickly on here. As you can see, I was having problems with my white balance and my ISO on my camera. One scene I'll be super washed out, and the very next scene I'll be somewhat normal, and it made color correction really difficult. And I don't know, man, it was just a challenge for me overall. I was up one night thinking about my pedal board, as most normal human beings should do. And now I know this is not something I normally talk about on this channel. Obviously, I'm more of a guitar-based channel. However, the reality is that today's musician can't just be a musician. Today's artist can't just be an artist. In fact, no matter what you're doing in your life, you can't just be good at that one thing anymore. You have to be able to showcase it on some form of platform, especially post-pandemic, because everyone is basically still stuck at home. There are no musicians who are really able to go on a tour or play live shows and gain traction that way, so you have to do it in other formats, such as the way I'm currently working on my personal career right now through YouTube and social media. So I feel like that it's important that today's musician, today's guitarist knows how to put out the very best version of themselves, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever the newest trend is, TikTok, Snapchat, all of the ones that probably have come and gone in the past. Regardless, you gotta find a way to put out the best version of yourself. So in today's video, I want to discuss a little bit in what I've learned in the last couple of days and in the last couple of weeks that are gonna hopefully help you and I achieve a better outcome in our videos and our quality as a whole. The internet has given us a whole lot of information, easily accessible information at that, but I have to admit something to you. I'm probably a little older than some of you may think, and I come from a generation before the internet actually existed, and therefore running to the internet for all of my answers is just not in my nature. I'm the kind of guy who buys something, I'm the typical guy who throws the manual away and I just dive right in. I've done that in the past with guitar equipment, guitar pedals in general, and I did it with camera equipment, not knowing that there were so many details I needed to pay attention to. You may or may not notice the quality of this very video right now is a lot different from my last videos. And do me a favor really quickly, if you're not watching this in 4K, stop, make sure you put that setting back up to 4K so you can see the fullest quality of the way I'm uploading this right now, because it's a major difference. So do that and then come back. As I said, I want to discuss with you and sort of transition you into how I got here in this little journey. I did have a bit of an advantage, and I'm going to introduce you to that advantage in just a little bit. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll understand how to achieve this look maybe, or a look similar, or just feel encouraged to chase after achieving a better look overall in some of your content, whether it's on YouTube, social media, heck, even if it's just your personal stuff that you're doing at home. This could be an advantage 100% for sure, so you're going to want to stay tuned for this video. And we're back with my beautiful wife, Maegen-Christie Cruz of Maegen-Christie Photography. Say that 3 times fast. I will put a link in the description box below, linking you to her Instagram so you could see some of her photography work. We have worked together in the past pretty smoothly. She's actually a musician too. She plays keyboard and very good. And we've worked together in that world too. Not so smooth.
That's so smooth.
We don't do that too well together. But videography, photography, it's smooth because she's the more knowledgeable person and I take a step way, way back. As I was mentioning before, this is my guru right here. I didn't realize that I needed to go to her to get more knowledge on what I was doing. So, babe, I know you don't do videography. You do only photography. But there's a difference between what we do. I went a different route with my equipment. I didn't want to touch your equipment. All right, but even though...
You're not allowed.
Because I'm not allowed. I want you to tell them what you have, what you use. So let's start with your camera. What camera do you have?
I have the Canon 5D Mark III.
Is that your only camera, or do you have backups?
I don't want to mention my backup because it's embarrassing, but there is one there for backup.
Is it a Canon as well?
A Canon, a very, very old one.
So the lenses are interchangeable with the other body, right?
No. You can't put that lens with the other body.
Oh.
It's just too old.
Okay. So this is expensive. Okay. So what I use, so you can tell what the differences are, I use a Sony a6400. If you compare the two sizes, the Canon is massive next to the Sony, which again is another reason why if you're a YouTuber, vlogger, that maybe you want to go with a Sony camera because it's just a little bit more reasonable to carry around. But if you're someone like Casey Neistat, you don't really care. You just want the quality, so you'll carry around whatever. What is your go-to lens?
It depends on the situation. So like for weddings, I would use my Canon lens, my 28 to 70 millimeter lens, L lens. Because it catches movement better, like for ceremonies and, you know, walking down, party, reception, stuff like that. But as far as like lifestyle and portrait stuff that I like to do, you know, at home, I use my Sigma art lens, my 1.4. It's my baby. I love it.
And that's a 35 millimeter.
A 35 millimeter one.
Okay, so I want to quickly stop there. I happen to have learned all the stuff this week that she's referring to. Okay, so let's talk about the first number you're saying. First lens was a 28 to what? 70. So that number is referring to how much you can zoom out and zoom in. That second number you keep referring to, that F number, that is your second lens is what? 1.4 you said, right? And that lens is what millimeter is that, or the
35 one?
The 35. Okay, so in theory, and it's a prime lens. And what does a prime lens mean?
It means it's like fixed, like can't zoom in or anything like that.
And that is, the F number is what, 1.4?
Yeah.
Okay, so her first lens is a lot more like versatile because you're all the way out to a 28. And on a Canon, you'll learn this, guys. Sony, like the Alpha series, they have crop frames. So on a Canon, it's a full frame. So she's a true 28, which means that I would need like a 16 frame lens to get a 28. So she's pretty zoomed out even for a Canon purposes. And then you could zoom in all the way to 70. What'd you say? 75?
24 to 70.
70. Okay, so that's a lot. That's a pretty good lens, and you can get really close and still retain that quality. Yes. Do you know the on that lens?
The 2.8.
2.8. So what that basically means, what I've learned, is that F is how much light it essentially lets in to the lens, right? And that number can go from 2 point whatever to, and then it just means how small and how large the aperture gets, so that it can let light in, right? Lenses like that are really versatile, but if you want that depth of field, like that whole blurred, blown out background, that's why you had to go for your portrait lens, which is the Sigma 35
But then
millimeter.
also I needed help with light because I didn't want to use like artificial lighting or anything like that.
Right, so she's a natural light photographer. She doesn't like using, like, I have a lot, you can't see them, but we have a lot of studio lights in here, and so she doesn't like using
I know
that.
how to use them.
Right.
But I don't like to use
Right.
them.
She prefers using daylight, and you like the challenge of it too. Like, you like that the sun is gonna move, it's gonna give you a different shadow and all that. So you like that. I want consistency because I'm filming in here every single week. I'm busting out 2 videos a week now, and I just need it to look the same, or not necessarily the same, but I need it to be as easy and quick as possible. So if it's constantly changing, that's a problem for me. Versus you're more like, I like to adapt to those changes.
Yes.
So that F number, is gonna let more light in. So then in low light situations, it's good. But that new whole blurred background thing, you can achieve that better the lower that F number is, right? Okay.
Yep.
So
with my Canon lens, I don't like to go above 2.8 either, which is a challenge when you take pictures of families, but you have to make sure like they're like in a straight line if you want like everyone in focus and you want like the blurred out background. But other times I don't mind if like a person, like one of the family members is like focused and the other ones are kind of like blurred out. Like, it's fine for me too, but yeah, I don't like to really go above that.
In learning this from her, I also learned about terms like aperture, like you just mentioned, the depth of field, the bokeh, which is essentially utilizing depth of field.
That's not how you say it.
How do you say it?
I think it's
bokeh.
Bokeh.
Okay, so for example, that light that's, where is it? Oh, this is a good example. This light that's right next to me, if I put it back here, right, while I'm talking, you probably see it a little more blurry. And you want those like lights that kind of you could see in the background, that accent the background, but because of your lens and the low aperture, right, that 1.4 for you, it's, you have a 1.4 as well on your secondary lens. It really blurs the background, so it keeps you in focus. And that was the thing that I always wanted, but I didn't know how to achieve that. And I had to learn all of these words and all of these things, and then realize something like...
You dumb.
I'm a little dumb. And you were there the whole time, and I just didn't ask you.
You don't listen to your wife.
I had to learn how to work my actual body, the camera itself. The lens does a lot, but when your camera isn't working for you, the lens can only do so much, right? I learned that the white balance on my camera was left on auto, which was really giving me a personal hard time to be able to adjust to the room. So every time I would move or something like that, the white balance would change and mess up everything. And then when I was trying to edit after that, it was becoming such a pain in the butt to color correct the videos because it kept changing. The other thing that I had to adjust in my camera was the ISO. That was something that I never touched, and that's a big no-no for you, right? See, I always left it on auto, and again, that means that if something for whatever reason changed just even slightly, maybe the lens focused on the screen versus my face, it would totally mess up the ISO, and then it would auto correct itself, and then I'd have a totally different color grade on my videos. So do you typically leave it on auto, or do you adjust it as you sit in the room? Yeah,
I adjust it.
You adjust.
I don't like to go above 200 sometimes because it becomes crisper. Like outdoors, I keep it at 100, and then I up my shutter speed. Got you.
So if you're wondering, right now I also have my ISO at 100 right now, but keep in mind I am using a different lens that's a lot lower of an aperture, a 1.4, so it lets a lot more light in. So it's just a little more controllable in a darker situation. So I want to thank my wife for joining me in this video. She's been very informative. I know she was a little shy on camera, but she's great. Be sure to look her up on social media, Maegen-Christie Photography, both Instagram and Facebook right now. Amazing photographer. If you're in the local New York area, definitely look her up, and she's an amazing photographer. Book her for your weddings, your portraits, all that good stuff. They'll come out dope. Trust me.
Okay.
Alright guys, so really quickly, I want to show you the differences between the footage that I was getting before I switched all of those things we talked about and now after, right? So this is the after, but let me just go back to the old one so you can get a comparison to what this footage would look like had I not made those adjustments on my camera and used a different lens to get that whole blurred background thing. And this right here is basically the before. Now, in previous videos, that white was a lot more overbearing. So I'm not able to quite emulate what I had before. As you can see, the lens is still pretty sharp, but it's capturing light in a different way. It's not quite looking as natural as with my other lens. The background has sort of this blurry thing effect, but not nearly as blurry as with my other lens. And the other lens that I'm using right now is the same. It's the equivalent of the lens that my wife is using on her Canon. However, this is the Sony version, the E-mount version, and this is a Sigma 35mm 1.4 f1.4. So again, it lets a little more light in. It allows you to accomplish that blurry background thing that everybody wants to do here on YouTube, and it also can shoot in a little bit low lighting. The only difference is with this camera right here, I can put that camera a lot closer to me because it zooms out all the way to 18. That means that this lens could capture a much more larger frame, whereas this is a 35. So the difference is it's a lot closer, therefore I need a lot more room, and I got to push this camera a lot further back than what I have it right now to accomplish a similar setting to what you see here. But the lighting is a little harsher, and I probably have to work on it a little bit more in terms of color grading and dimming that light down. Even when I turn lights off and down, it just, I don't know, it doesn't quite hit the mark for me. So I love it. It's a great lens. It's still sharp, but there's something about this Sigma lens, man, that's just hitting the mark really, really well. I also love how quickly the Sigma lenses actually focus. I've heard some bad things in terms of what they do with the Canon stuff. My wife has complained that sometimes her Sigma lens is not as sharp. Also probably takes a little more effort to actually get it into focus. But with my Sony, I feel like it's personally outperforming my Sony lens a little bit. So definitely something to consider when you're looking into all of these things. Now let's go back to the other lens so you can compare. Guys, this is the after effect. This is after learning all of the things that I wasn't doing right in my previous videos. So I have now learned that my camera was on auto ISO. I learned that my camera was also on auto white balance. And then I also learned that though I have an extremely good lens here, this is the Sony 18-105 lens, it's not the lens that I was looking for to achieve this look that you're watching right now. Now, don't get me wrong, if I were taking this camera out and vlogging with it or shooting something that was unexpected where I didn't know what I was going to get, I will bring that Sigma lens that we just talked about that's currently on my camera right now. But the reality is that this is the lens that's probably going to take me further along, and it's going to be a little more versatile for me. So I'm definitely not getting rid of this lens. But just like guitar equipment, I'm learning that guitar pedals, guitars, they all have a specific thing that they do best. So for example, not one guitar is going to get the job done for every job, right? Just like different pedals make different noises. A delay pedal can't accomplish what a distortion pedal can do, and vice versa. So it's important to understand that there are going to be different cameras, different lenses, different microphones for every single situation. So I'm learning that, and I'm learning it the hard way, unfortunately. And I'm also learning how expensive all this stuff is. So I really hope that you, the consumer, the viewer, are enjoying these upgrades, because it's definitely costing me a little bit of money to get it done. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. There's a lot of information, but I know that it's information that's going to be useful. I'm going to look back at this and continuously learn. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to look back on this video one day and go, wow, I still knew nothing, you know, and I can't wait. I want to continue growing. That's the whole point of what I'm doing here on YouTube. I want to educate you, but I can't stop learning if I want to continuously be an educator. So I'm going to continue learning. Join me on this journey. Do me a favor, there's a lot of family and friends who watch our videos who wanted to see more of my wife on my videos. So comment below more videos with your wife to give her a little bit of a shout out so that she knows that she's appreciated, her knowledge is needed, and maybe you'll entice her to want to start up her own YouTube channel, or maybe hit social media a little bit more and become a little more personal on there to give some of the information that she's learned throughout the years. Also, let me know if this video was helpful for you and you want more information. I didn't discuss editing too much in this video. I also didn't discuss too much about the actual lighting that I'm using itself, or the mics that I currently use right now and the positioning of those mics. I simply just talked about the camera and the adjustments that I made and the lenses that I use, but there are a lot of other things that you should consider when you're trying to achieve this look and sound, because as the saying goes, audio is 50% of your video. So you should probably invest in audio equipment just as much as you would photography or videography equipment. So again, if you want to know more about the details of how I am currently lighting the room and using my audio, hit me up in the comment section below. I'll make a part 2 to this and show you around the room and give you details on what lights I'm using and how I'm using background lights, as well as lights that you don't even see in the room right now, and the microphone that is above my head right here, just outside of the frame, that again you don't see, but yet you can clearly hear that my voice is being heard on the camera. So definitely something that I think is interesting, but I'm not sure if you think it's interesting, so let me know in the comment section below. Alright everyone, that's all I have for today. Please do all of the things to help this channel grow. Like this video, subscribe and comment below, and be sure to hit the bell icon so you get an alert every single time I upload a video. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.